my name is Leslie and I'll be your instructor in this short video that I'll make on database management. Now, database management involves the design, the implementation, and maintenance of database systems. And database systems store, organize, and manage data. The primary purposes of database management systems is to provide an efficient and secure way to store your data. Today, we're going to be looking at an example of a database management system called the PostgreSQL server or management system. There are different kind of popular database management systems. We have MySQL, we have Oracle database, Microsoft SQL Server, MongoDB, and the rest of them. Database management is a critical aspect of information technology, enabling and efficient and secure handling of large volumes of data in various applications and industries. Uh, as you can see, I'm opening my pgadmin 4, which is a graphical user interface for PostgreSQL, and the pgadmin is one route through which we can access our Postgres server. The other route is accessing the server using the terminal line. In our case, we can access the server using the PSQL shell. And once my application opens up, I would connect to my server. It prompts me to enter my password and I would put in my password. Same password that I used while I was installing my Postgres database on the system. So you can see I'm connected to my server because it's locally hosted on my computer system. So I'll navigate to the databases. As you can see, I have 3 databases. Right here, I have the employees, I have the training database, and I also have the Postgres database. And today we're going to be working on the training database. Now, if I expand the training database, I can see some of the properties right here, and I will go further to expand the schemas, and you can see the schema is a public schema, and another level I'll go further to expand the tables. Now, in our case, we are going to work with our training database, like I mentioned, and specifically we'll be working with a couple of tables here. And just like I mentioned, we'll be interacting with the data in the database. Now, usually the tool with which you use to interact with data in your database is called the structured query language, popularly known as SQL or SQL, as the case may be. Now, I would navigate straight to my query tool. This is an interface that gives me the opportunity to fill in my queries in a customized manner. And today we're going to focus on 3 tables: the car table, the persons table, and also grocery table. Now, it is important that we understand how to use what we call the statements, or several statements in our database, in this case PostgreSQL database. And in this tutorial, we're going to learn how to use the Postgres SELECT statement to query data from a table. It is important to know that the SELECT statement is one of the most complex statements in Postgres, as much as it looks simple. And today we would explore several ways that we can use our SELECT statements. First, we are going to see how the select syntax works. So all you need to do is to type in the word select. Now, once you type in the word select, you would need to specify the column where you would want to select what you are querying or interacting with, as the case may be. So you would select from a particular column, and the next keyword that select usually gets accompanied by is the from keyword. Now, the from keyword helps you understand the should I say destination, as it were, from which the data is being extracted from. So it's coming from your, in this case now, we can say from our table. So we are not specifying a table right now, but we can specify, from a table. Now, so with this little syntax, we can actually select any particular column from any table of our choice. And a situation where you would want to select multiple columns, all you need to do is put a comma or separate each column by a comma. So I can say I would like to select more than one column from a particular table, and of course on and on. So it's important we understand the syntax before we begin. So first of all, I would like to, and okay, before I move to the next, I would like to also bring to your attention something very important. Now, there is what we call all, which is represented by an asterisk in Postgres. Now, so um, if I would want to select all the records from a particular table, I would have to use the asterisk symbol. In this case, my query would look like this. So I would select all the columns from, let's say, a particular table in this case now. So the asterisk symbol represents all the columns in your table. So first example would be centered around selecting data from a single column in a table. And we're going to be working with our card table. So if I expand my card table to the left and expand the columns, I will see all the columns that I have in my card table. First, I would select. Now, I would need to specify the columns from which I am getting my data from. In this case, I would like to see the full name. I would like to see a make. I would like to see, okay, so I would like to see the make now. And I would like to see model. And where would I want to see that these columns that I'm selecting the data from? I would want to see it from the car table. Now, if I run this and execute this query, it gives me the columns make and model. So this little example has made me realize that I can actually query this sets of data from this table. That is the first example. And we can look at a second example. I can decide to select multiple columns now from anything from 2 and above. So I would write my select statement. So by the way, Postgres is not case sensitive, but just so I'll differentiate between the query and the column names, and that's why I'm actually using the caps capital letters for the queries and the small letters for the column names. So select, I would like to select the full name this time. I would like to select the make. I would like to select the model, and I would like to select the price. Having all these columns now, I would like to select all of these from, and where would I want to select this from? You guessed right, from the car table. Now, if I run this, I can see that it has brought almost all the columns that I have there in my cars table. Now, this is the second example. Now, next to the third example, I would like to select all the records in this car table. So I'll use, like I mentioned earlier, the asterisk symbol. Now, I'd like to select from car table. Now, I'll select all from car, and the display shows you that it has brought about all the columns that is resident in your car table. So you have the car ID, the full name of the buyer or the owner, the make, the model, the price, the salary range, and city. Now, this is the classical example where we select data from the database. Now, next we are going to look um, look at how to select and make a few modifications to the data that we are calling out. In this case, we're going to work with our car table. So I'll select all the records. So let me collapse this. Sorry, we're working with our persons table. So I'll collapse the car table and expand the persons table. So you would see the columns that are present in the persons table. So I would select all from person. Now, once I run this, it helps me identify that I have about 6 columns here. So these 6 columns, now I would want to, if you observe, I have a first name and a last name column. Now I would want to concatenate both my first name and last name. So what that means is I would have, let's just say, a full name column rather than having a first name and a last name. So to do that, I'm going to show you 2 ways in which you can achieve that. One of them is specific to Postgres. The other one is a universally accepted SQL query. So I'll select and I would begin to list the columns from which I am going to, carry out my select query. Now, first of all, I would want to select the ID, comma, and I would want to select both the first name and as well as, now I would use this strokes on my system. Now, what it does for me is it's going to, prompt Postgres to concatenate the first name as well as the last name. And once that happens, I would want it to call it the full name. So, and as well as the other columns, so the email, the gender, and the salary. Now, where am I selecting all these records from? I'm selecting them from my person table. All right, just Apologies. All right, from my persons table. And if I run this, I should have a concatenation of the first name as well as the last name showing as one column in this table. All right, so let's run this. Now, once we execute this, we can see that we have the ID, we have the full name, which is a concatenation of both the first and the last name, and we have the gender as well as the salary. Now, so these are ways in which we can select. Okay, so the next example, like I mentioned earlier, I'll show you two ways in which you can do this. So the second way and method is you select. So I'll just, because of time, I'll copy this and I'll paste this here. Now, so I'm going to make a modification here, right? And I'll introduce the keyword concat. So concat, stands for concatenation or concatenate as the case may be. So first name, what am I concatenating? The first name, and once I do that, I'll add a space in between. And okay, so I'll put a comma here, I'll add a space here, and once I put a space, I would add the last name. So first name, space, last name, and I would want Postgres to be able to identify that this particular concatenated column is a full name. So I'll put a full name just after the close of the bracket, but then I would wrap my full name in inverted commas. Now, so once that is done, I would execute this query. Now, you see, of course, it, it gives the same result. So I'll just take away full so you can see that you would have the same results. All right, so observe that the name has changed from full name to just name. So this is an example of your how to use your select statements to interact with the data in your database in this relational database management system. And I hope this video helped you to understand how to interact with data in your relational database management system in pgadmin rather. So thank you for this, and I would make more videos on uh, several ways in which you can interact with your data in your database.